The Galactic Physical Evaluation Center hummed with activity as beings from across the known galaxy gathered for the most comprehensive fitness assessment ever conducted. The massive facility orbited the neutral world of Nexus Prime, its crystalline walls offering spectacular views of the star-filled void beyond. Today marked a historic moment. The first time representatives from the newly discovered human would participate in the standardized galactic fitness protocols. Commander Al of the Hegemony Council stood before a holographic display showing the test results from the past 3 cycles. The being's compound eyes reflected the data streams as mandibles clicked in what passed for satisfaction among his species. For over 2,000 years, the Hegemony had maintained the galactic standard for physical excellence. Their warriors dominated every category, from strength endurance to cardiovascular efficiency. "The humans arrive within the standard hour," announced technical analyst, a slug-like creature whose mucus trail glistened as it approached the command station. "Initial scans suggest they originate from what our classification system identifies as a Class 12 death world." Al's antennae twitched with amusement. Death worlds were rare, and their inhabitants typically possessed certain advantages in survival scenarios. However, the galactic database contained clear evidence that death world species, while tough, rarely excelled in organized physical competitions. They were survivors, not athletes. "Their preliminary data submissions are interesting," continued, its eye stalks extending to view multiple data screens simultaneously. "They claim capabilities that seem to exceed our baseline measurements." "Impossible," Al stated flatly. "The Hegemony has optimized physical performance for our genetic modifications, training regimens, and technological enhancements represent the pinnacle of biological achievement. No species, regardless of their dangers, can surpass us without similar technological advancement." The main bay doors cycled open with a pneumatic hiss, and the human delegation entered. Al observed them with keen interest, noting their bipedal locomotion and relatively compact frames. They appeared unremarkable compared to the towering Hegemony warriors or the dense-muscled already present. Leading the human group was Dr. Sarah, a woman whose calm demeanor and steady gait suggested competence despite her species' unknown capabilities. Behind her walked 12 humans of varying builds, some tall and lean, others shorter and more compact, but all moving with a fluid grace that caught Al's attention. "Welcome to the Galactic Physical Evaluation Center," Al announced through the Universal Translator system. "I am Commander Al, overseer of these assessments. Your species' participation marks an unprecedented opportunity to establish baseline measurements for future integration into galactic athletic competitions." Doctor stepped forward, offering what humans called a smile. "Thank you for this opportunity, Commander. We're eager to demonstrate human capabilities and learn about the standards maintained throughout the galaxy." The preliminary briefing took place in the main observation deck, where holographic displays showcased the various testing categories. Strength trials measured lifting capacity across multiple muscle groups. Endurance challenges tested cardiovascular and muscular stamina over extended periods. Agility assessments evaluated reaction time, coordination, and movement efficiency. Mental-physical integration trials combined cognitive tasks with physical demands to measure overall performance under stress. "The current galactic records," Al explained with evident pride, "are held exclusively by Hegemony athletes. Our training begins in early development cycles and incorporates advanced optimization. We have achieved efficiency ratings that approach theoretical maximums for carbon-based life forms." One of the humans, a compact woman with short, dark hair, raised her hand. "What about environmental adaptation factors? Do the tests account for varying gravity, atmospheric composition, or temperature ranges?" Eye stalks swiveled toward her. "Standard protocols maintain optimal conditions for all participants. Environmental variables are eliminated to ensure fair comparison across species." The human woman, her identification tag read, Martinez, exchanged glances with her companions. "Understood. We're ready to proceed under standard conditions." The first day of testing began with basic strength assessments. The testing chamber featured equipment designed to accommodate various alien physiologies while maintaining measurement consistency. Hegemony athletes demonstrated their capabilities first, establishing benchmarks that had remained unbroken for decades. Warrior approached the primary lifting apparatus, his exoskeleton gleaming under the facility's illumination. Standing nearly 3 meters tall with 4 powerful limbs, he represented peak hegemony development. The crowd of observers from various species watched as he positioned himself at the weighted resistance machine. The display showed progressive increases in resistance as performance peaked at measurements that translated to lifting approximately 15 times what galactic databases suggested was possible for an unmodified human. The assembled beings chittered, growled, or otherwise expressed approval in their species-specific ways. "Remarkable consistency," Doctor observed, making notes on her portable device. "His technique shows excellent optimization for this specific movement pattern." When the first human approached the same apparatus, the chamber fell unusually quiet. The human, identified as appeared almost small compared to the alien athletes who had preceded him. He took several moments to examine the equipment, adjusting his grip and stance multiple times. "Is there a malfunction with the measurement systems?" asked, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "All systems are functioning within normal parameters," replied. "Are you experiencing difficulty with the interface?" "Not exactly," said, settling into position. "It's just that this configuration seems designed for different leverage mechanics. I'll adapt." The resistance began at standard starting levels, progressing upward as found his rhythm. The display showed steady increases that initially tracked below hegemony baselines. Observers began to lose interest, expecting typical Death World durability but limited peak performance. Then something unexpected happened. His output continued climbing past the point where other species had reached their limits. His breathing remained controlled, his technique smooth, as the resistance levels approached hegemony ranges. Al's compound eyes focused intently on the displays. "Impressive for a baseline biological organism," he admitted. "However, reaching our established levels would require." The display flickered as output exceeded its record by a significant margin. The chamber fell silent except for the humming of machinery and the steady rhythm of human respiration. "Equipment malfunction," Al announced immediately. "Begin diagnostic protocols." 3 separate diagnostic cycles confirmed all systems were functioning correctly. The measurements were accurate, had not only matched but surpassed the galactic record while appearing to exert moderate effort. "Interesting," Doctor commented mildly. "Should we continue with the next assessment, or would you prefer additional diagnostics?" The remainder of the strength trials produced similarly unexpected results. Each human participant demonstrated capabilities that challenged established galactic standards. More importantly, they seemed to approach these challenges with a casual competence that suggested they were operating well within their capabilities. During the break between testing phases, Al convened an emergency consultation with his technical staff. "The measurements cannot be accurate," he insisted, his antennae rigid with stress. "No species achieves such results without extensive genetic modification or technological augmentation. Our scans confirm these humans are baseline biological organisms." Mucus production had increased, a sign of significant anxiety among its species. "Commander, I have reviewed the diagnostic data 17 times. All equipment functions correctly. The measurements reflect actual performance." "Then explain how Death World survivors outperform our most elite athletes in controlled conditions," Al demanded. "Their dangers should have selected for survival traits, not athletic excellence." "Perhaps," suggested another technician, a crystalline being whose faceted form rang softly as it spoke. "We should consider that survival on their world required capabilities we have not previously encountered." The second day of testing focused on endurance challenges. Standard protocols involved extended periods of moderate exertion to measure cardiovascular efficiency and muscular stamina. Hegemony athletes had established records by maintaining specific performance levels for precisely calculated durations. The testing chamber was reconfigured for endurance trials, featuring tracks, cycling apparatus, and swimming pools that accommodated various alien physiologies. Environmental controls maintained optimal temperature and atmospheric composition for all participants. Warrior took position at the primary endurance station, her 4 limbs coordinating in the efficient rhythm that had made her species famous for sustained performance. The gathered observers watched as she maintained her pace for the standard duration, her performance tracking precisely along established optimal curves. When the human participants began their trials, initial results again seemed unremarkable. They maintained steady, sustainable paces that suggested adequate conditioning, but nothing exceptional. Several alien observers turned their attention elsewhere, expecting confirmation that humans were typical Death World survivors, tough but not outstanding. The first indication that something was different came after the standard test duration had elapsed. While other species representatives showed clear signs of fatigue and began their recovery phases, the humans continued their activities with unchanged intensity. "Should we inform them that the testing period has concluded?" asked an observer, its dense musculature still recovering from its own endurance trial. Doctor checked her chronometer and spoke briefly with her team members. "We understood the test was to continue until exhaustion or voluntary termination. Are we misinterpreting the protocols?" Consulted its data displays with obvious confusion. Standard procedures measure performance during optimal output periods. Most species reach their sustainable limits within established. "Ah," said the human woman Martinez, still maintaining her steady pace on the track. "We were operating under sustainable output parameters. Would you like us to increase intensity to reach exhaustion more quickly?" Before anyone could respond, Martinez shifted to a pace that would have represented peak performance for most species. Her companions made similar adjustments, their coordinated movement suggesting this increased intensity was routine for their training. The testing chamber fell silent except for the sounds of human exertion and mechanical equipment. Displays showed performance levels that exceeded galactic standards while being maintained far longer than theoretical calculations suggested was possible. Hours passed. The human participants rotated between different endurance challenges, maintaining performance levels that every model in the galactic database. When they finally concluded their trials, they appeared moderately tired but nowhere near the exhaustion state that marked the limits of other species. "Fascinating cardiovascular efficiency," Doctor observed, making notes while her heart rate visibly returned to resting levels. "Your equipment provides excellent data on comparative performance metrics." That evening, Al found himself staring at performance data that challenged everything he understood about biological limitations. The humans had not simply exceeded galactic standards, they had redefined what those standards meant. "Request additional background information on the human," he instructed his technical staff. "These results suggest their evolutionary environment was far more demanding than our initial classification indicated." The data that arrived painted a picture that explained much while raising even more questions. Earth was indeed classified as a death world, but the specifics were unprecedented. Variable gravity effects from a large satellite, extreme temperature ranges across multiple climate zones, atmospheric pressure variations based on altitude. Most significantly, a biosphere where nearly every other life form posed potential threats requiring constant vigilance and adaptation. "They evolved under conditions of perpetual challenge," observed, its eye stalks trembling as it processed the information. "Every day of their existence required capabilities we consider peak performance." "Impossible," Al repeated, though his conviction had begun to waver. "No species could maintain such extreme conditioning across entire populations." The final day of testing would focus on agility and mental-physical integration trials. These assessments had always been considered the ultimate measure of advanced development, combining raw physical capability with cognitive processing under stress. Hegemony warriors had dominated these categories since the tests were first established. The testing chamber was reconfigured into a complex three-dimensional environment featuring moving platforms, variable surfaces, and cognitive challenges that required split-second decision-making while maintaining physical performance. Participants would navigate obstacles while solving puzzles, responding to stimuli, and demonstrating precise motor control under increasingly difficult conditions. Warrior entered the chamber with confidence earned through cycles of specialized training. The assembled observers watched as she moved through the course with practiced efficiency, her four limbs coordinating precisely while her enhanced neural processors managed the cognitive demands. Her performance was flawless, representing the pinnacle of hegemony achievement. The measurement displays confirmed another record-setting performance. Had maintained perfect scores across all categories while completing the course in optimal time. The gathered aliens expressed their approval through species-appropriate gestures and sounds. When the first human entered the course, expectations had shifted considerably from the previous days. The observers watched with keen attention as the human, tagged as Williams, surveyed the challenge environment. "Interesting design," Williams commented, stretching briefly before beginning. "Reminds me of some training courses back home, though the gravity differential takes some adjustment." What followed challenged every assumption about the relationship between cognitive function and physical performance. Williams moved through the course not with the calculated precision of hegemony optimization, but with a flowing adaptability that seemed to anticipate and respond to challenges before they fully developed. More remarkably, he appeared to be improvising solutions that the course designers had never intended. Where other species followed optimal paths calculated by advanced algorithms, Williams created new routes that were somehow more efficient despite requiring capabilities no other participant had demonstrated. The cognitive challenges that accompanied the physical obstacles were solved with casual efficiency that suggested Williams was operating with significant mental capacity in reserve. His performance metrics exceeded all previous records while appearing to require minimal effort. "Equipment verification," Al ordered immediately, though his confidence in finding malfunctions had diminished considerably. The verification confirmed what the observers had witnessed. Williams had not simply broken records. He had demonstrated capabilities that suggested the testing protocols themselves were insufficient to measure human potential. As the remaining human participants completed their trials, each produced similarly unprecedented results. They approached challenges with creative problem-solving that combined physical capability with mental flexibility in ways the test designers had never anticipated. More disturbing to Al was the humans' apparent attitude toward their performance. They treated these record-breaking achievements as routine, expressing interest in the alien technologies and techniques they observed, but showing no surprise at their own capabilities. "Your course designs are quite elegant," Doctor commented during the final debriefing. "We appreciate the opportunity to experience different approaches to physical-mental integration. Will there be opportunities for cross-training with other species techniques?" Al stared at the comprehensive performance data displayed across multiple screens. Every galactic record had been broken, often by significant margins. The humans had not simply participated in the assessment, they had redefined what galactic physical standards meant. "Doctor," he said finally, his voice carrying the weight of shattered assumptions, "your species' performance raises significant questions about our understanding of biological capabilities. Would it be possible to arrange extended observation of human training methods and environmental adaptation?" Doctor smiled, that expression her species used to convey positive emotions. "Of course, Commander. We'd welcome the opportunity to share techniques and learn from galactic athletic traditions. Though I should mention that our participants here represent fairly typical human baseline performance. If you're interested in observing our specialized athletes or military personnel, we could arrange demonstrations of more advanced capabilities." The silence that followed was broken only by the ambient humming of the facility's systems. Al's compound eyes reflected the data streams that showed human performance levels beyond anything in galactic records, and the implications of Doctor's casual statement settled over the chamber like a heavy blanket. "Specialized athletes," whispered, its mucus trail darkening with stress-induced chemical changes. "These were your baseline representatives?" Al asked, his antennae trembling with the effort to process this information. "More or less," Doctor confirmed cheerfully. "We selected individuals with solid general fitness and good temperaments for first contact situations. Our actual competitive athletes are training for what we call the Olympics, a global competition that showcases peak human performance. And our military special forces," she paused, seemingly considering how much detail to share. "Well, they operate under rather different parameters." As the human delegation prepared to depart the evaluation center, Al found himself contemplating the complete revision of galactic physical standards that would be required. More than that, he was beginning to understand that humanity's integration into galactic civilization would challenge far more than just athletic records. The hegemony had built their identity around physical superiority that had just been casually dismissed by beings who considered their demonstration to be routine baseline performance. The implications extended far beyond sports and fitness, into military capability, exploration potential, and the fundamental balance of power among galactic civilizations. As he watched the humans board their transport vessel, moving with that same fluid efficiency they had demonstrated throughout the trials, Al realized that the galaxy was about to discover what it truly meant to be a Death World species. The humans had not come to compete with galactic standards, they had come to establish new ones. Physical Evaluation Center, and the ripple effects continued to spread throughout known space. Commander Al stood in his private office aboard the Hegemony flagship, Eternal Dominance, reviewing reports that painted an increasingly troubling picture of humanity's expanding influence. The initial response from the Galactic Council had been predictable: skepticism, demands for verification, and accusations of fraudulent data. However, multiple independent confirmations had forced even the most stubborn officials to acknowledge the unprecedented nature of human capabilities. What had begun as routine first contact protocols had evolved into a comprehensive reevaluation of galactic power structures. The mining consortium has formally requested human advisors, reported Subcommander, her carapace gleaming with stress-induced color changes. Their productivity standards have stagnated for decades, and preliminary modeling suggests human techniques could increase efficiency by 30%. Al's mandibles clicked in irritation. They had been reliable allies of the hegemony for centuries, their massive bulk and dense musculature making them ideal for heavy industrial work. If they were seeking human assistance, it suggested recognition that their own capabilities were insufficient. "What about the Ethereal Federation's response?" he asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "They have proposed joint research initiatives," confirmed. "The Ethereals believe human adaptability could complement their cognitive advantages in ways that neither species could achieve independently." The Ethereal Federation represented the galaxy's intellectual elite, beings of pure energy who had transcended physical limitations ago. Their interest in human partnership was perhaps more significant than anything else, suggesting that humanity offered capabilities that even energy-based consciousness found valuable. A priority communication alert interrupted their discussion. The main display activated, showing Dr. Sarah's calm features transmitting from the human embassy on Nexus Prime. "Commander Al," Doctor greeted with that characteristic human expression of friendliness. "Thank you for accepting our communication request. We wanted to follow up on your interest in observing human training methods." "Doctor," Al replied, struggling to maintain diplomatic composure, "the Hegemony Council has approved a comprehensive observation mission. We are prepared to send a delegation to study human physical development procedures." "Excellent," Doctor said, and Al thought he detected something that might have been amusement in her tone. "We've prepared several demonstration programs that should provide insight into human capabilities. However, I wanted to confirm your delegation's physical parameters to ensure appropriate safety measures." "Safety measures?" interjected her translator, conveying confusion. "For observing training procedures." Doctor's expression became more serious. "Human training environments can be quite demanding, even for observation. We want to ensure your delegation can participate safely in our standard protocols. What are the environmental limits for hegemony physiology?" The question struck Al as oddly inverted. Typically, visitors to other worlds required protection from environmental hazards. The implication that human training might pose risks to observers was unprecedented. "Standard atmospheric composition, moderate temperature ranges, and gravity levels between 0.7 and 1.3 galactic standard," provided automatically. "Understood," Doctor made notes on her portable device. "We'll configure our basic training areas to accommodate those parameters. For the advanced demonstrations, we may need to use simulation environments to ensure safety." After the communication ended, Al found himself contemplating the implications of Doctor's casual mention of safety concerns. Human baseline performance had already exceeded every galactic standard. What did their advanced training require that posed risks to observers simply from witnessing it? The journey to Earth took 2 standard weeks aboard the Hegemony's fastest diplomatic vessel. The delegation included Al himself, along with specialists in biomechanics, training methodology, and physiological optimization. Each represented peak hegemony development in their respective fields. As their vessel approached the Sol system, the sensor readings painted a picture of human space that several preconceptions. Earth itself registered as exactly the death world their initial classification had indicated: variable gravity, extreme temperature ranges, unstable weather patterns, and atmospheric composition that would challenge most galactic species. More intriguing were the artificial constructs throughout the system. Human space infrastructure showed evidence of activities that suggested capabilities far beyond what their technology level should have supported. Massive orbital installations, asteroid mining operations, and what appeared to be large-scale terraforming projects on multiple worlds. "How are they maintaining construction operations in this environment?" asked Dr. N, the delegation's biomechanics expert. Her crystalline form resonated with confusion as she analyzed the sensor data. These radiation levels and gravitational variations would require extensive shielding for most species' workforce. The answer came when they observed human work crews directly. Operating in environmental suits that seemed almost primitive compared to galactic standard equipment, human workers moved through space with the same fluid efficiency they had demonstrated in the evaluation center. More significantly, they appeared to be working in shifts that lasted far longer than most species could sustain, even under optimal conditions. Earth's orbital platform greeted them with human efficiency and alien hospitality. Doctor met them personally, accompanied by several individuals whose identification tags indicated various specialties within human physical sciences. "Welcome to Earth Orbital," Doctor said as they completed docking procedures. "We're excited to share our training methodologies with you. We've prepared demonstrations that should illustrate the development processes behind what you observed at the evaluation center." The first facility they visited was described as a basic fitness center for civilian populations. Al expected to see equipment and procedures that might explain how humans maintain their remarkable baseline capabilities. What he found challenged his understanding of what the term basic could mean. The facility sprawled across multiple levels, featuring environmental chambers that simulated various planetary conditions. Humans of all ages moved through training routines that would have challenged elite athletes from most galactic species. Children barely reaching maturity performed exercises that required coordination and strength he associated with military specialists. "This represents typical civilian fitness maintenance," explained Dr. Jennifer, who served as their guide through the facility. "Most humans participate in some form of regular physical training throughout their lives. These individuals are office workers, teachers, shopkeepers, pretty much standard civilian population." Al watched as a human female who appeared to be in the latter stages of her life cycle completed a routine that involved lifting weights equivalent to her entire body mass while maintaining precise coordination across multiple movement patterns. According to the facility's records, she was a retired teacher who attended the fitness center 3 times per week. "What do your military personnel training facilities look like?" asked, though Al suspected none of them truly wanted to know the answer. Doctor's expression became more serious. "Military training is quite different. We'll visit some of those facilities tomorrow, though we'll need to use observation platforms for most of the demonstrations." The civilian facilities' capabilities were already beyond what most galactic military training could achieve. The implications of purpose-designed military training filled Al with growing unease. Their evening briefing took place in the facility's education center, where Doctor presented information about human physical development that explained much while raising even more disturbing questions. Human evolutionary history involved approximately 4 million years of constant environmental pressure, Doctor explained, holographic displays showing Earth's changing climate patterns and their effects on human development. "Our ancestors survived ice ages, volcanic catastrophes, sea level changes, and predator populations that selected for extreme adaptability. The data showed environmental pressures that would have driven most species to extinction. Humans had not simply survived. They had thrived, developing physiological capabilities that allowed them to adapt to virtually any terrestrial environment. More significantly," Doctor continued, human social development occurred in parallel with physical evolution. Our species learned to cooperate in ways that allowed individuals to exceed their personal limitations through coordinated effort. Dr. N's crystalline form rang with harmonic frequencies that indicated deep concern. Your training methods incorporate both individual optimization and social coordination protocols. Exactly, Doctor confirmed. Human performance reaches its peak when individual capability combines with team dynamics. What you observed at the evaluation center represented individual baseline performance. Our true capabilities emerge when humans work together toward common objectives. The next morning brought their visit to what Doctor described as a standard military training facility. The delegation was transported to a complex that sprawled across hundreds of square kilometers, featuring environmental zones that simulated conditions from multiple death worlds. This is Fort Carson's basic training area, Doctor explained as their observation platform approached the facility. New military recruits spend several months here developing foundational capabilities. Through the platform's reinforced viewing ports, Al observed human military trainees engaged in activities that every assumption about safe training parameters. They moved through obstacle courses that featured actual dangers, not simulated hazards, but real risks that could cause serious injury or death. More disturbing was their apparent casualness about these dangers. The humans treated potentially lethal training scenarios as routine challenges, supporting each other through difficulties with coordinated teamwork that seemed almost telepathic in its precision. "Are those recruits experiencing actual combat conditions?" asked Doctor, or the delegation's training methodology specialist. His energy-based form flickered with stress patterns as he observed humans moving through what appeared to be live fire exercises. "Basic combat simulation," Doctor confirmed. "Real ammunition, actual explosives, genuine environmental hazards. Our training philosophy emphasizes that realistic preparation prevents casualties during actual combat operations." The observation platform's sensors recorded performance data that made the evaluation center results seem conservative by comparison. These military recruits, still in early stages of their training, demonstrated capabilities that exceeded elite hegemony warriors. "What about your special forces training?" asked, though her carapace had shifted to colors that indicated significant stress. Doctor and Doctor exchanged glances that suggested internal communication before Doctor responded. "Special Forces training operates under different parameters. We would need special authorization and more extensive safety measures for observation." The afternoon brought demonstrations of human sports and competitive activities. Al had expected these to provide insight into peak human performance in controlled, safe environments. Instead, he discovered that human recreational activities often involved challenges that most species would classify as extreme survival training. They observed a competition called CrossFit, where civilian humans performed complex exercises that combined strength, endurance, and coordination under time pressure. The participants competed with intensity that would have been appropriate for military combat while maintaining friendly social interactions that suggested this was considered entertainment. "These individuals are not professional athletes," Doctor explained as they watched humans lifting massive weights while running and jumping through complex obstacle patterns. "Most have regular jobs and participate in these competitions as hobbies." The evening brought an invitation to observe what Doctor described as traditional human recreational activities. Al expected something that might represent rest and relaxation in human culture. Instead, they found themselves watching humans engage in something called rock climbing, on vertical cliff faces that required strength, endurance, and risk tolerance that would challenge most species' military personnel. "This is how humans relax?" Doctor asked, her harmonic frequencies indicating profound confusion. "Some humans," Doctor confirmed cheerfully. "Others prefer activities like long-distance running, martial arts training, or extreme sports. We have quite diverse approaches to entertainment." Their final day on Earth brought them to what Doctor had described as a demonstration of specialized capabilities. Al had prepared himself for advanced military training or elite athletic performance. What he experienced redefined his understanding of what biological organisms could achieve. The demonstration took place in a facility that simulated extreme environmental conditions, temperatures that would kill most galactic species, atmospheric compositions that were toxic to standard life forms, and gravitational variations that should have crushed unprotected biological matter. Human specialists moved through these environments with protective equipment that seemed almost minimal compared to what galactic safety standards would require. More remarkably, they performed complex technical tasks while operating under conditions that should have overwhelmed their physiological systems. Our deep space exploration teams, Doctor explained, operate under conditions that most galactic species would consider impossible to survive. Earth's environmental diversity prepared us for adaptation to virtually any planetary conditions. The demonstration included humans working in near-vacuum environments, extreme temperature variations, and gravitational fields that fluctuated beyond what most species could tolerate even with advanced technological support. They maintained efficiency and coordination that exceeded what Al had seen from purpose-built artificial systems. During the final briefing before departure, Doctor presented information that completed the picture while raising implications that extended far beyond physical capabilities. Human development continues throughout our entire life cycle, she explained, showing data on human learning and adaptation patterns. Our neural plasticity allows us to acquire new capabilities and improve existing ones until the very end of our. Combined with our social cooperation patterns, this means human civilizations become more capable over time rather than reaching static optimization points. The journey back to hegemony space provided Al with time to process what they had observed and consider its implications for galactic civilization. The humans had not simply demonstrated superior physical capabilities. They had revealed an approach to existence that challenged every assumption about biological limitations and social organization. "Commander," said as they reviewed their comprehensive data recordings, "how do we report this to the Hegemony Council?" Al contemplated the data that showed human capabilities exceeding theoretical maximums for biological organisms. More significantly, the humans had treated these demonstrations as routine examples of their baseline capabilities rather than peak performance achievements. "We report exactly what we observed," he decided finally. "The Council must understand that humanity represents something unprecedented in galactic history. They are not simply another Death World species. They are a civilization that has evolved beyond the limitations we considered universal." The communication from Earth arrived as their vessel entered hegemony space. Doctor's image appeared on the main display with her characteristic expression of friendly concern. "Commander Al," she said, "we wanted to thank you for visiting Earth and observing our training methods. Your questions helped us realize that our demonstrations may have created some misunderstandings about human capabilities." "Misunderstandings?" Al asked, though he suspected he did not want to hear the explanation. "We want to clarify that everything you observed represents civilian and basic military training," Doctor explained. "We hope we didn't give the impression that these demonstrations represented peak human performance. Our actual elite capabilities operate under rather different parameters." The communication ended, leaving Al staring at performance data that had already redefined galactic standards, while contemplating Doctor's casual mention that they had not yet observed actual peak human capabilities. As the Hegemony flagship approached the capital system, Al prepared his report for the Council with the growing realization that galactic civilization was about to discover what it truly meant to encounter a species that had evolved to thrive under impossible conditions. The humans were not coming to join galactic civilization, they were coming to transform it. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in the Great Chamber of Nexus Prime, representatives from 47 civilizations gathering to address what many considered the most significant development in galactic history since the formation of the Council itself. Commander Al stood at the central podium, his comprehensive report on human capabilities transmitted to every delegation, though many still struggled to accept its implications. Chancellor of the Ethereal Federation materialized at the primary consultation platform, his energy-based form flickering with patterns that indicated deep concern. As the Council's most senior representative, his words carried weight that could reshape galactic policy. The data presented by the Hegemony delegation, announced, his synthesized voice carrying harmonics that conveyed gravity, suggests we face an unprecedented situation. If accurate, humanity represents capabilities that exceed our most optimistic projections for biological evolution. Counselor Ra of the mining consortium shifted her massive bulk, the platform reinforcements groaning under her weight as she spoke. The mining productivity improvements observed in human-advised operations confirm significant portions of this report. Our century-old extraction techniques were optimized by human consultants in mere days. The trade union's representative, a crystalline being whose faceted form reflected the chamber's lighting in complex patterns, resonated with harmonic frequencies that indicated skepticism. These claims require verification beyond isolated demonstrations. We propose comprehensive testing under controlled conditions. Al's antennae twitched with stress as he considered how to respond. His delegation's observations on Earth had left him with the growing certainty that controlled conditions might actually limit human performance rather than reveal its true extent. "Honorable counselors," he began, his translator carrying the formal protocols required for official testimony. "The human delegation has agreed to additional demonstrations. However, our observations suggest that their full capabilities may exceed the safety parameters of our standard testing facilities." The chamber fell silent as representatives processed the implications of Al's statement. Galactic testing facilities had been designed to accommodate the most extreme capabilities known to exist. The suggestion that human performance might exceed safety margins caused visible stress reactions among several species. A priority communication alert interrupted the proceedings. The main display activated, showing Dr. Sarah transmitting from the human embassy complex. Her appearance in the council chamber was unprecedented. No first contact species had ever addressed the full council during their integration deliberations. "Honorable counselors," Doctor said, her tone carrying the diplomatic formality appropriate for the setting. "Humanity requests permission to address concerns regarding our capabilities and intentions. We believe direct communication may resolve uncertainties more efficiently than continued speculation." Chancellor's energy patterns shifted to configurations that indicated consideration. "The Council recognizes Dr. Please present humanity's perspective on the integration questions under discussion." Doctor's image expanded to full chamber scale, allowing all representatives clear observation of human nonverbal communication patterns. Her expression conveyed calm confidence that many found distinctly unsettling given the context. "The Council's concerns regarding human capabilities are understandable," she began, "but we believe they may be based on incomplete information. What your observers experienced on Earth represents our civilian baseline and basic military training. We have not yet demonstrated what humanity can achieve when we commit our full capabilities to specific objectives." The implications of her statement caused visible stress reactions throughout the chamber. Several representatives activated private communication channels, while others displayed species-specific signs of alarm. "Are you suggesting," Chancellor asked carefully, "that the unprecedented performance levels documented by the hegemony delegation represent limited demonstrations of human potential?" "Exactly," Doctor confirmed with that characteristic human expression that might have been amusement. "We wanted to establish basic capability baselines before proceeding to more advanced demonstrations. However, recent events suggest this gradual approach may have created unnecessary uncertainty." Counselor and of the warrior clans, a species renowned for their military prowess, activated his communication privileges with obvious agitation. "Doctor, your species' military capabilities as observed already exceed our theoretical maximums for biological organisms. What you describe as full capabilities suggests parameters beyond our ability to evaluate safely." Doctor made notes on her portable device before responding. "We understand your concerns, Counselor. However, recent developments require us to clarify human intentions and capabilities. We have received intelligence regarding potential threats to galactic stability that may require our intervention." The chamber erupted in multiple simultaneous conversations as representatives processed this unexpected development. The suggestion that humanity was prepared to intervene in galactic affairs based on their own threat assessment introduced political implications that extended far beyond capability evaluations. What threats? Chancellor demanded, his energy patterns shifting to configurations associated with emergency protocols. Our deep space monitoring networks have detected approaching signals consistent with the Devourers, Doctor announced calmly. Based on galactic historical records, we estimate their fleet will reach inhabited space within 2 standard years. The silence that followed was absolute. The Devourers represented the greatest threat in recorded galactic history, a species of mechanical beings that had consumed entire sectors before disappearing into deep space ago. Most civilizations hoped they were extinct or had moved beyond reach of current galactic boundaries. Counselor of the Defense Alliance activated emergency protocols, his energy-based form cycling through colors that indicated maximum alert status. Our deep space arrays have detected no such signals. How do human monitoring capabilities exceed our combined early warning systems? Human space infrastructure includes monitoring stations throughout the galactic periphery, Doctor explained, displaying holographic charts that showed detection networks extending far beyond any previously known exploration range. Our expansion into hostile environments allows us to maintain observation posts in regions other species cannot reach. The scope of human space operations revealed by the charts caused visible alarm among multiple representatives. Humanity had established monitoring networks that encompassed regions considered impossible to reach, much less inhabit on a permanent basis. How many humans are operating in deep space? Asked Counselor of the Explorers Guild, his crystalline form resonating with frequencies that indicated professional curiosity mixed with concern. Approximately 40 million personnel across 1,200 stations. Doctor provided the numbers as casually as if discussing local population statistics. Standard rotation cycles bring them home every 18 months for rest and family time. The mathematics struck multiple representatives simultaneously. 40 million humans working in environments that would kill most galactic species, treating assignments in impossible conditions as routine deployment rotations. The implications for human population size, industrial capability, and resource management exceeded previous estimates by orders of magnitude. Doctor, Chancellor said carefully, these revelations suggest humanity possesses capabilities that may exceed those of the combined galactic civilizations. What are your species' intentions regarding galactic governance and territorial boundaries? Doctor's expression became more serious, though she maintained the diplomatic tone appropriate for formal council proceedings. Humanity seeks cooperative partnership with existing galactic civilizations. However, the approaching Devourer threat requires coordinated defense preparations that may exceed current galactic military capabilities. The statement was delivered with such casual confidence that several representatives required translation clarification. Doctor had just suggested that defending against the greatest threat in galactic history might exceed current military capabilities, while implying that humanity was prepared to address this deficiency. Are you offering military assistance? Asked General X of the Combined Defense Forces, his massive exoskeleton clicking with stress patterns as he processed the implications. We are offering partnership, Doctor corrected. Human defensive capabilities have been developed specifically for scenarios like the Devourer threat. However, our methods require close cooperation with allied forces to achieve optimal effectiveness. The Chamber's attention focused intently as Doctor continued her explanation, her tone remaining calm despite the magnitude of what she was describing. Based on historical records, the Devourers operate through overwhelming technological superiority and numerical advantage. Traditional defensive strategies focus on fortified positions and technological parity. Human doctrine approaches such threats differently. How differently? Chancellor asked, though his energy patterns suggested he was not certain he wanted to know the answer. Humans specialize in asymmetric warfare, Doctor explained. Our evolutionary history involved surviving threats that possessed every possible advantage over us. We learned to win through adaptability, coordination, and techniques that turn enemy advantages into vulnerabilities. General X activated his combat analysis protocols, his enhanced neural systems processing tactical implications at accelerated rates. You are suggesting guerrilla warfare against a technologically superior space-faring civilization. Among other techniques, Doctor confirmed. However, our preferred approach involves demonstrating human capabilities in ways that encourage voluntary cooperation rather than forcing conflict resolution through purely military means. The suggestion that humanity had developed specific doctrines for managing galactic-level threats caused alarm reactions among multiple species. More disturbing was the implication that they considered their current demonstrations to be diplomatic persuasion rather than displays of peak performance. "Doctor," Counselor Ra said slowly, her massive form shifting as she considered implications. "Are you saying that human beings have been deliberately limiting their demonstrations to avoid frightening potential allies?" "Essentially correct," Doctor confirmed. "Full human military capabilities tend to cause psychological stress reactions among populations that have not evolved under similar pressures. We prefer gradual introduction to our methods to allow time for cultural adaptation." The clinical manner in which Doctor discussed managing other species' psychological reactions to human capabilities was perhaps more unsettling than the capabilities themselves. It suggested a level of understanding and preparation that indicated humanity had been planning for galactic integration far longer than anyone had suspected. A communication alert announced incoming priority data from the hegemony fleet. Al's image appeared on auxiliary displays throughout the chamber, his compound eyes reflecting stress patterns as he delivered his report. "Counselors," Al announced, "our deep space monitoring arrays have confirmed human signal detection. Devourer signatures are approaching from galactic nor-northwest, estimated arrival in 22 months. The human data appears accurate." The confirmation of humanity's intelligence capabilities sent waves of concern through the assembled representatives. If humans could detect threats before combined galactic early warning systems, their technology and deployment capabilities exceeded all previous estimates. "Furthermore," Al continued, "preliminary analysis suggests the Devourer fleet is significantly larger than historical records indicate. Current galactic defense preparations may prove insufficient." Doctor activated her communication privileges to address this development. "Our analysis confirms Counselor Al's assessment. The approaching Devourer force represents approximately 12 times the strength documented in historical encounters. Traditional defensive strategies will not be adequate." The magnitude of the threat struck the chamber like a physical blow. Multiple representatives began emergency consultations with their respective governments, while others activated military communication protocols. "What do you propose?" Chancellor asked, his energy form cycling through configurations that indicated he was accessing deep memory files related to previous existential threats. "Joint training programs," Doctor announced. "Human military advisors working with existing galactic forces to develop defensive capabilities appropriate for the threat level. This approach allows us to share our methods while respecting existing command structures." General X processed the proposal through his tactical analysis systems before responding. "Human advisors training galactic military forces. Doctor, based on observed capabilities, this would represent fundamental restructuring of our defensive doctrines." "Correct," Doctor agreed. "However, the Devourer threat requires capabilities beyond those developed for conventional galactic warfare. Our training programs can provide those capabilities while maintaining integration with existing military structures." The proposal was ambitious beyond anything previously attempted in galactic history. Joint military cooperation had always been limited by the vast differences in species capabilities and tactical doctrines. What Doctor was suggesting would require unprecedented coordination and trust. "What guarantees can humanity provide regarding the use of enhanced military capabilities after the Devourer threat has been resolved?" asked Counselor and of the Peace Preservation Alliance, her energy-based form flickering with concern patterns. Doctor's expression became more serious as she considered the question. "Humanity's long-term goals involve exploration and expansion beyond current galactic boundaries. We have no interest in territorial disputes with existing civilizations. Our military capabilities are designed for threats like the Devourers, not for conventional interstellar warfare." The statement contained implications that required careful consideration. Humanity was suggesting they had developed military capabilities specifically for threats beyond anything in galactic experience. while indicating their expansion goals lay outside current territorial boundaries. Beyond current galactic boundaries, Chancellor asked. Doctor, are you suggesting humanity's exploration goals involve extragalactic expansion? Eventually, Doctor confirmed matter-of-factly. Our species requires constant challenges and new environments to maintain optimal development. Current galactic space provides opportunities for several centuries of expansion, but our long-term planning extends beyond that. The casual manner in which Doctor discussed extragalactic expansion as a routine planning consideration left many representatives struggling to process the implications. Humanity was thinking in terms of timescales and objectives that exceeded the scope of galactic civilization. The emergency session concluded with unprecedented decisions. The Council approved joint training programs between human military advisors and galactic defense forces. Emergency industrial cooperation agreements were established to support defensive preparations. Most significantly, humanity was granted provisional council membership with voting rights related to the Devourer crisis. As representatives departed to consult with their respective governments, Al found himself contemplating the complete transformation of galactic civilization that was beginning to unfold. The humans had not simply introduced new capabilities. They had revealed the existence of threats and opportunities beyond anything previously imagined. Doctor remained available for individual consultations as council members processed the day's revelations. Her willingness to answer detailed questions about human capabilities and intentions provided additional insights that both reassured and concerned various representatives. Doctor, Al asked during their private consultation, when you mentioned that our observations on Earth represented basic training, what would advanced human military capabilities look like in practice? Doctor considered the question carefully before responding. Commander, our elite forces are trained to operate independently in any environment for extended periods while maintaining mission effectiveness. They can adapt to threats we have never encountered and develop solutions using resources available in hostile territories. Could you provide a specific example? Al asked, though he suspected the answer would be disturbing. A single human special operations team, Doctor explained, could potentially establish a self-sufficient base of operations on a previously uninhabited world and develop the industrial capacity to construct interstellar vessels using only local resources. The implications struck Al with sudden clarity. Humans did not simply possess superior individual capabilities. They had developed systems that allowed small groups to establish civilization-level infrastructure under any conditions. The scope of their adaptive capabilities exceeded anything in galactic experience. As the emergency session's aftermath continued to unfold, reports arrived from human deep space monitoring stations providing detailed intelligence about the approaching Devourer fleet. The information was more comprehensive than anything galactic intelligence services had ever produced about external threats. More significantly, the human reports included tactical analysis and recommended countermeasures that demonstrated understanding of Devourer capabilities far exceeding what historical records suggested was possible. Humanity had apparently been preparing for this specific threat for longer than anyone had suspected. The final revelation came during a routine communication from Earth. Doctor announced that humanity was prepared to begin immediate defensive preparations, including the deployment of specialized equipment and personnel to strategic locations throughout galactic space. How quickly could you begin deployment? General X asked during the emergency military consultation. Deployment began 3 weeks ago, Doctor replied calmly. We have been prepositioning defensive assets since our monitoring systems first detected the Devourer signals. Current estimates suggest we can have full defensive networks operational within 6 months. The efficiency of human crisis response exceeded every military planning model in galactic databases. More disturbing was the realization that humanity had been making strategic decisions about galactic defense before even informing the Council about the threat. As Al prepared his final reports about humanity's integration into galactic civilization, he found himself recognizing that integration was perhaps not the appropriate term. Humanity had not come to join existing galactic structures. They had come to establish new ones. The humans had identified a threat that galactic early warning systems had missed, developed countermeasures beyond current military capabilities, and begun implementation of defensive strategies before consulting with established authorities. They were not seeking permission to participate in galactic affairs. They were informing galactic civilizations about decisions they had already made. The Devourer crisis would be resolved through human capabilities and planning, establishing precedents for future threat response that would fundamentally alter galactic governance. More importantly, the crisis had revealed that humanity possessed strategic thinking and operational capabilities that operated on scales beyond current galactic civilization. As reports continued to arrive about human defensive preparations, the scope of their operations became clear. They were not simply preparing to defend existing galactic territories. They were establishing infrastructure that would enable expansion and exploration far beyond current boundaries. The humans had come to transform galactic civilization not through conquest or force, but by demonstrating capabilities that made existing limitations obsolete. They were showing the galaxy what was possible when a species refused to accept that anything was truly impossible. The evaluation that had begun with simple physical assessments had revealed a species that approached every challenge as an opportunity to exceed previous limitations. The galaxy was about to discover what it meant to have partners who treated the impossible as merely another problem requiring creative solutions.